Okay, so there will be spoilers for not only Secret Invasion, but basically the whole MCU up until this point. So, you have been warned. um, Secret Invasion's finale showed us that not only did the presumably deceased Gravik happen to get basically all the powers ever, but the very much alive Gaia did as well. And ultimately, this resulted in a, I guess, fun final battle between the two formerly aligned Skrulls. And I enjoyed it at the time, and honestly, I kind of still do enjoy it. But the difference is now I've sort of come off the high of Secret Invasion, and I realized this poses a very huge problem for the MCU going forward. So, one thing I want to point out before going further into this video is that since Gravik is supposedly, dead, I will only be looking at Gaia since it's ultimately her that's going to pose the problem for the MCU. But let's be real, if Gravik also is alive, he's going to pose the exact same problem. So, yeah. But I'm only looking at Gaia for this because, well, she's the only one that's confirmed to be alive. So, it is what it is. So, basically, both Gravik and Gaia got all these powers from the Harvest. And basically, the Harvest is a whole bunch of characters' powers collected through blood during the Battle of Earth and basically put in a vial. And yeah. So basically the Harvest and all that gave Gravik and Gaia a whole new set of powers and abilities on top of their abilities as Skrulls, and also the regenerative healing that they both got from Extremis before they got a hold of the Harvest. Either way, we saw a whole lot of these characters' powers on display in the final battle between Gravik and Gaia, but we did not see them all. So basically, during this battle, we saw Gaia use Thor's powers, Hulk's powers, Korg's powers, Drax's powers, Frost Beast's powers, Mantis's powers, Ghost's powers, and to top it all off, Captain Marvel's powers. And boy, oh boy, do I wish that was the end of it, but it is not. Because there was a whole lot more characters' DNA involved in this. So, it was a challenge to figure out all the characters' DNA who, ultimately were in the Harvest. So, I went to my favorite source, MCU Wiki, to look up the Harvest and see whether they had a list of all the characters whose DNA was part of the Harvest, and they did. They came through. There was a whole list of them. So, on top of all the powers that we saw Gaia use in the final battle, she also gained Valkyrie's powers, Bucky's powers, the Shatari's powers, Corvus Glaive's powers, Calypsidian's powers, Ebony Maw's powers, Abomination's powers, Gamora's powers, Groot's powers, the Outriders' powers, Proxima Midnight's powers, Steve Rogers' powers, T'Challa's powers, and Thanos' powers. Yup, that's the list. So, we got 22 different characters, species, whatever we want to call them. 22 different powers here going. Don't know how half of these powers got collected since it was apparently for the Battle of Earth, and a good chunk of these characters were not a part of the Battle of Earth in any way, shape, or form, but we're going to ignore all of that. 22 powers now belong to Gaia. Well, no, not 22 powers. 22 characters / species powers. All of them. Some of them have several different powers. So, that's way too many powers for one character to have. Like, just way too many. Like, I think, like, when we look at the MCU and the heroes and even the villains, there's powerful characters within the MCU. You know, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch, Thor, Hulk, a whole lot of others. But like, even with all the powers that they have, there does seem to be some limitations to their powers, making other characters with different powers and skill sets necessary. We saw that in Avengers Infinity War. We saw that in Avengers Endgame. No one character alone could win either battle, honestly. They all needed help, either from the Infinity Stones or other Avengers. And look, whether you love the scene or you think it's cringe or a bit of both, we saw in Avengers Endgame that even Captain Marvel, who many will argue is the most powerful Avenger, needed help from her fellow female heroes. Scarlet Witch, who I will argue is the most powerful character, yeah, she went toe-to-toe with Thanos and merely slowed him down. So, yeah, all these powerful characters need help from other powerful characters. But now we have Gaia, who basically has all these powers for herself. So it's not a matter of, oh no, insert villain name here is attacking, let's call the Avengers. It's, well, let's just call Gaia and let her deal with it. Like, she can handle it. Like, she's got all these powers. And if you don't call in Gaia, the audience is going to sit there and wonder, why are you not calling in Gaia? Like, there's no need for the Avengers. There's no need for the Guardians of the Galaxy, because Gaia has all the powers. So why do other characters need to exist? It's just... But I mean, yes, we have seen that there are some characters that look to be taking a back seat, or who are no longer with us. The thing is, though, is the MCU has put characters in a position to take their place. Like, we saw in She-Hulk that Hulk may be passing the baton to his cousin or even to his son. Yeah, he has a son, guys. In Thor: Love and Thunder, we saw Thor training Love to, fight alongside of him. But even at that, Thor doesn't seem to be taking a backseat. Like, he's got 4 movies. I don't think he's taking a backseat. But even if he was, we have Love there to take his place. T'Challa, unfortunately, has passed with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. But ultimately, we saw in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever that Shuri was able to synthesize a heart-shaped herb and ultimately was given the powers of the Black Panther. So there's no need for Gaia to have all these powers because we have characters with these powers. And of course, yeah, there are the characters who don't necessarily have someone next in line, for the hero mantle. Ghost, Mantis, Drax, those are the ones that come to mind for me, where they don't have, a character with a similar power set to pass the mantle to. And so Gaia having their powers might kind of be a good thing in the future. But it doesn't help at all that those are not the powers that she got only. Like, yes, she has these powers, but she also has the powers of characters who are still doing their thing within the MCU. Characters who have someone next in line to take the mantle from them. The villains who are dead. Just all these powers for one person to have is gonna be a problem in the future. I guess they can make her a villain, and then all the characters need to come together for that. But we already kind of saw Gaia as a villain. So do we need to see that again? Probably not. But either way, the point is I see where Secret Invasion was going with this in the moment. Like, Gravik was power hungry and determined to have all the powers. The show ultimately needed somebody who could go, toe to toe with him on a skill level base, on a power level base. So Gaia seemed to be the most logical choice, and it resulted in an awesome battle. But for the future of the MCU, it's a problem. It's a huge problem, because why do these other characters need to exist if Gaia has all these powers? Literally, every other character has essentially become useless within the MCU, thanks to Secret Invasion, The Harvest, and Gaia. Yeah. So that's it for my little, I guess, rant, we'll call it. But what do you think? Do I have a point about Gaia having all the powers posing a problem within the future of the MCU, or am I just completely off base and this is actually a genius idea? I'm really curious to hear what everyone's thoughts are on Gaia having all these powers in the comments down below. I've also left a link in the description down below to an article by Comic Basics where they explain in more detail all the powers that both Gaia and Gravik used in their battle. It was a very interesting read. I definitely recommend checking it out. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you all liked it, and I will see you next time. Bye!